How are we doing, people? 1:30 on the 19th of July 2022. This video has nothing to do with geoengineering. This has to do with allegedly invasive species. This is in response to a practice which has gained popularity in this country over the last 20 years, since let's say 25 years, since Himalayan balsam found the right conditions and suddenly has started to do well in Britain. I'm going to tell you a few facts about a few invasive species that we class as natives, weirdly, except for Himalayan balsam and Japanese knotweed. So we'll start with nettles. Nettles are not native to UK, and I don't see the world trying to get rid of every nettle in the world. They're a very, very important plant to peacock butterflies. Lots and lots of insects rely on them. And they have a multitude of uses for humans. They're very, very high in iron. A very good source of antihistamine, which keeps the insects away from biting you. The seeds are a natural pick-me-up. You can make rope from the fibres in the stem, you name it. So, like, and they've been here since 1562. Like I say, that's a long, long time, and they're not classed as an invasive species. They're now classed as a naturalised plant. Rabbits, the 1st century AD they've been here. They're not natural to Britain, they come off the continent, as do nettles. Grey squirrels, 1890. People class them as a pest species and all the rest of it and say they're responsible for wiping out red squirrels. That is slightly true in certain cases, but red squirrels are not wiped out by any stretch. They've just gone to other locations where grey squirrels aren't present, like coniferous forests. Grey squirrels don't do well in coniferous forests. It's not their habitat. However, they do very well in broadleaf woodland, and they're very precocious, and they're very cute as well, and people like them. And much as they do a little bit of damage to trees here and there, they're not going to destroy ecosystems. Animals don't do that. I mean, animals are here to live, and like, regardless of what people say about this, they don't give animals a chance. And like, it's very much an agenda attached to all this, which is kind of hidden from the public. So, and then we've got Little Owl has been here since 1889. That's totally non-native. I don't see that wrecking the world by any stretch. And that takes holes in trees that other birds could use. However, these things are what they are. And I really think we need to wake up a little bit and stop being so... Let's take a little bit of shit advice off a crap government agency that has a very, very strong agenda. And is also, I'm going to say, run by people who've been through the indoctrination system and not necessarily people who know wildlife. And I think that is a major, major concern in this earth. People may argue the toss with this, and I'm sure I will get lots of comments back and all the rest of it. However, I say my piece and I say it how it is. And I don't expect everyone to agree with me by any stretch. However, what I do expect is people to respect wildlife and stop just killing it because it is fucking ridiculous on some shit advice. And then we have Japanese knotweed, which is classed as an invasive species because it has the ability to come through concrete and tarmac. Now, in those certain situations, yes, it probably is a good idea to get rid of it. However, that does not mean it needs a blanket cull. Japanese knotweed is yet another one that's full of medicinal benefits and rah-de-rah. And there's just this attitude that if it's not native, it's the same as people, isn't it? I mean, this is the attitude. If it's not native, kill it. And it's disgraceful, quite frankly. Like, everything has a right to live on this earth. Simple as that. And like, regardless of whether it's from a certain place or not, it shouldn't make a blind bit of difference. And like, there we go. I wasn't going to do geoengineering, however, one's turned up right on cue. And as you can see, the clouds building up everywhere. making it a little bit more humid until the inevitable thunderstorms happen at some point. The one I want to touch on mainly is Himalayan balsam. Now, I have had many conversations with people about this over the last 20 years and said, you fully do not understand how plants compete together. Now, regardless of whether it grows tall, etc., etc., it does not outcompete everything in its local environment by any stretch. If you go and find it, there may be exceptions to the rule, like gravel pits, where not a lot else grows, I might add. But on banks and things like that, you will find brambles, nettles, ransoms, bluebells, all these things manage to perfectly cohabit in amongst this stuff. And this notion that it erodes the banks and rah-de-rah is absolute gibberish. I have seen this in many occasions in my life, and I think you'll find that mostly where it's near watercourses and there are problems is more to do with the fact that the watercourses are not looked after. So there have been various floods over the years, lots of buildings have ended up in the rivers, and obviously that's a lot of rubble. That then means the watercourse can't take as much water, so then the water, when it comes down, erodes the banks higher up, etc., etc. And like, the excuses from the Environment Agency as to why they can't dredge the river is for a handful of native crayfish. Now that is utter bullshit. Like, they will come up with any sort of fucking reason to basically get rid of plants that are beneficial for humans and animals. I'm going to tell you a few benefits to Himalayan balsam. So, Himalayan balsam arrived in this country via the plant collectors in 1839 to Kew Gardens, right? It has since, and it has taken it a long, long time to establish itself in this country. It's now 2020. That is nearly 2022. It's nearly 200 years later. Think about that. So for 150 years, no one noticed it. Maybe longer, 170 years. No one noticed it. And then all of a sudden, conditions are right, probably to do with this bloody gibberish going on in the sky, that it's gone. Wow, I can fucking thrive in this country because it's like the Himalayas now. Damp environment, rah-de-rah, constantly humid. Game on. Now, Himalayan balsam can be used as a food. Its seedlings, its young shoots, its leaves, its flowers can be eaten raw or cooked. And the seeds in particular, they take oil from. It's been used in cooking and oil lamps. Now, there are certain people who shouldn't eat it with liver problems, etc., etc. But that goes for a lot of plants. Like, not all plants are beneficial to all people. However, to say that, and to put this message out to people that it's so bad that you should go around and just rip it out of the ground, whack it over, rah-de-rah, without a care or a thought for what you're doing, and then think that you're doing good, is bullshit. I know for a fact that not a huge amount of insects pollinate Himalayan balsam. There's certain species of bumblebees that do, but not a lot else, because of the shape of the flowers, and only certain things can get in there. And to say that other things won't get pollinated because there's a bit of Himalayan balsam around is codswallop, quite frankly. And it's also used as a herbal medicine for various things. Now, that's pretty much my rant, but I do think it's about time we woke up and started to look before you just go out willy-nilly and smash something down on the shitty advice of the Environment Agency or any other government agency for that matter. Think about what your actions do. For a start, it looks a fucking mess when you do it. Nobody ever clears it up. They just fucking leave it there, which doesn't actually work because those flowers will still turn to seeds, which I think people seem to not understand for some reason. If you cut down a flower and then leave it to dry out, that flower will still turn into a seed. That's how plants work. So this is really a message to the do-gooders of the world to wake the fuck up and stop being ridiculous and stop vandalising our wildlife, because it is out of order and you have absolutely no right to do it. And if I catch someone do it, I will give them a mouthful. Absolutely. And I will say, what the hell do you think you're doing? And I have done several times in the past when I've seen people doing it, because it is absolutely disgraceful. There is no need for it, and it's criminal, quite frankly. I'll leave it there. Peace out.